macros or meal plan?
Macros within a meal plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so uh, there's many ways to skin a cat. What I think is best is to do it in a way that mentally helps support you as best as you can. And my personal belief system on that is to stick to a consistent diet, because you're not going to have fluctuations in terms of sodium levels. You're not going to have fluctuations in terms of the weight of the food yourself that you're eating. So those two things, like if you're somebody that's trying to make progress, but you have all these different variables, and yes, the calories and the macros might equal each other, but all the other variables aren't being accounted for, it can just kind of make your scale weights just like fluctuate constantly. So that to me is the best approach. Now there's outliers to that equation. There's people that function very well on macros. My only issue with macros is the obsession and the time that it can take to set up a diet. And then also I feel like, because the guys, I've been there. There was a point in my life where I tried to fit as many foods into my day as I could. And the amount, going through the grocery store, I looked at every box of anything I wanted to eat. And, like, it's just not a healthy pattern, and also something else that bothered me during that time that I didn't realize that now I look back on is like being at the dinner table with my family for a holiday. And I'm just like doing this math equation in my head the whole time of what I'm eating, so that's why I prefer my mental health has been so much better. The longer that I do this, the more that I understand like the real big picture. Whenever I have a holiday or whenever I have something out of my control, or, I just stick to my diet as best as I can. And then when I have that meal, I just enjoy the meal. And then immediately following that meal, I don't calculate that meal. I just return right back to my baseline plan. And up to, I'm 31 now. This is the best condition wise that I've ever maintained, off season, on season, whatever. I just went through a surgery. I haven't trained for 8 weeks. And, people are like asking me how I look the way that I look. And it's just because it's adherence, it's doing the same thing day in and day out. So that's what I would encourage you guys to do, is find, ultimately, whether it's training, whether it's diet, whether it's contest prep, you have to find a system that works the best for you mentally and physically, and then just stick to it and run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. When I first started learning about nutrition and working out, training, all that, I was a flexible dieter. I did the whole MyFitnessPal thing. I've fit a pint of Ben and Jerry's in my macros before. Like I was that person, and it allowed me to be very flexible, and it showed me a lot about nutrition and food. And it taught me a lot about like making substitutions. Like if I run out of potatoes now, like cream of rice is a substitute, like all the different substitutes
Right.
that
Simple. Yes.
yeah. So like the little changes here and there, that's where the flexible dieting comes into play, but it's by no means an if it fits your macros kind of thing. I really think that there is tremendous value in the foods that you put in place in your plan and the time of day you put those foods in place. Personally, I have never had a better relationship with food than now following a meal plan. Being able to not be so obsessed with tracking and calculating and weighing all these million items in my house because I have whatever I want that I can try and fit into an app, right? I've been the person who brought their food scale to Chipotle and just tried to make it all fit in there, you know what I mean? And just be precise. And I think having a meal plan is just easier long-term. You don't have to spend as much time planning and calculating and
Obsessing.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And it's easier on me with my schedule too. Like I mentioned, I love to be busy and I'm a very structured person. To just have the plan with no other option but the plan is the most beneficial way for me to make progress and achieve my goals. Because I think some people too, if they venture from a meal plan to macros, once they realize they have the option to have something else, then sometimes I see what happens is that they kind of venture from the plan and then they get off track, and then they're fitting a little bit more and they're overeating a little bit of this and they're adjusting things a little bit too far and wide from the original variable.
Yeah.
So just with my schedule, having a meal plan is easy. I just, like I said, the only option is option one.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that just makes a huge difference, I think.